Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of GGS2 Case 5. So we have found the whereabouts of Jigoku, all thanks to Sherlock Holmes and his partner Mikotoba. So we are now heading back over to the courtroom section of this case now, to see if things are going to work out for Naruhodō and Susato at this point. Ooh, loading. I wonder if... No, I think it's about the same loading speed when I play on the phone. Same day, 12:10 p.m., the Old Bailey Supreme Court. We're still here, just waiting. Asogi Kazuma. You're not the type of man who tells lies, but I'm sure there's something here you're still not telling me.
During the recess, we used every means at our disposal. Unfortunately, we were not able to confirm Mr. Jigoku's status.
The Grim Reaper has already brought judgment upon him. That's what we must conclude. There's no need to continue this trial any further. We must declare a verdict at once.
Excuse me, hold on just a moment. We can't possibly end the trial here.
You're a Japanese man. You ought to know when you're beaten, Naruhodō.
Don't say I'm beaten when I'm not, Asogi. Ooh! Sick burn!
As of right now, we've finished examining all the evidence and testimony. And in spite of that, you still haven't managed to prove the defendant's innocence.
All the testimony? Not by a long shot. We still haven't heard the most important person's testimony yet.
In that case, summon that witness right away.
Would it be possible to have just one day? He's on his way right now, and will arrive tomorrow.
Who on earth is this vital witness?
Jigoku Seshiro. The man who was likely targeted by the Grim Reaper himself.
Judge Jigoku, are you saying you found him?
But I heard that Jigoku was already taken care of. How on earth did you manage to find him?
During the recess, he was found at Dunkirk Harbor in France. Thanks to Mr. Sherlock Holmes' deduction.
Sherlock Holmes.
Detective Gregson must have met Jigoku Seshiro on the night of the murder. After all, he and Asogi went to fulfill the mission given to them by the Grim Reaper. Which means that the only witness who can tell us what happened on October 31st, on a steamship bar block, is Jigoku Seshiro.
It seems that a verdict is unable to be rendered at this juncture.
That's true. We need to hear Mr. Jigoku's testimony. We cannot allow a verdict to be passed without hearing all available testimony.
In that case, today's trial shall be put on hold. We will reconvene tomorrow at the same time as today. No objections, I trust?
No, Your Honor.
As you wish.
Looks like we somehow managed to put it off until tomorrow. Oh, my heart. To be continued. We are continuing, and I'm not saving. I guess we were really that close to getting to that save, but it's like, we're really over at that point. Nope, no save. Loading, loading, loading. Alright. There was quite an uproar throughout the courtroom when the trial was put on hold, but everything about the trial was top secret, so a quiet night fell over London. And just after 8 p.m., Holmes' and his partner returned to Baker Street. Ooh! There seems to be a feast going on. November 3rd, 8:07 p.m., Holmes' room. We're home, folks! You must be tired, huh, Holmes-san? Oh, me? Surely you two are far more tired after today. Yeah. We somehow just barely managed to bring things to this point in today's trial. Asogi. He's that best friend of yours who just managed to regain his memories, is he not? Best friend, huh? I feel like his current self isn't the one I knew. Naruhodō-sama. I never imagined that he would turn out to be an assassin, taking orders from the Grim Reaper. Well, anyway, I'd better have you introduce us properly sometime. After all, I only know him as a dead man. Holmes! That incident a year ago. Holmes-san still hasn't told us the whole truth behind that. Behind the famous detective's lie. So anyway, France is surprisingly far away. Well, it is overseas, so what of Gyakuten-sama?
We took him to Scotland Yard. The detectives wanted to hear what he had to say as well, I'm sure.
Professor Mikotoba. He looks sad. I mean, I would be pretty sad too if my friend ended up being involved in something really suspicious. Even sadder because Mikotoba is like, was also friends with Genshin too, so yeah. Not a good day with Mikotoba. Oh, and on our way home, we picked this up from the post office. What's that? Have you already forgotten? It's the thing I requested yesterday.
He sent an international telegram to Japan, though for some reason I ended up footing the bill.
Of course. Oh my, they responded already? What were you in such a rush to do, Holmes-san? Well, we can discuss that later. After all, I'm starved.
Alright, everyone, the feast is ready.
Whoa! You really pulled out all the stops today, didn't you? It's almost as if we're celebrating a court victory. Roast beef, kippers, stew, kidney pie, and Yorkshire pudding.
I'm sure tomorrow will be rough too, so make sure you to eat your fill.
In that case, I'll take this seat, shall I? After all, this plate has a special serving of chicken.
You can't sit there.
Huh? Why not? Is there some sort of seating arrangement?
Yep, I mean, that's Susanoo-chan's Papa seating.
Me?
Yep, I made it specially for you.
Oh, what an honor.
But I can't help being just a little disappointed.
Disappointed?
I mean, just for a moment there, I actually started to believe that my papa and Susanoo-chan's papa were the same person.
Uh-oh.
Iris-sama, does that mean... Actually, I kind of overheard you yesterday. I heard the conversation you were all having secretly.
What? I don't think we were being inconspicuous enough. Her clue was the handwriting on the 10-year-old report. But neither Dr. Watson nor Professor Mikotoba ended up being Iris-chan's papa. Regarding this, Iris.
Yeah, I know. You can't tell me about it yet. Iris-sama. That chicken is a token of apology. I'm sorry for eavesdropping.
Oh, well, I don't mind.
Why don't I get an apology, chicken? Holmes? I'm sure Iris-chan find out about her dad someday. In that case, let's tuck in before it goes cold, shall we, folks?
Yes, quite right. It all looks wonderful.
Eat up now! I've got seconds for anyone who wants them.
This might be our last chance to talk before tomorrow's trial. About the telegram from Japan, and about Asogi. I better take this opportunity to hear about them. Holmes? Are you sulking over here? Are you sulking? Holmes-san, what are you doing? He's sulking. I should think it was obvious. It's not that I'm sulking over the fact that Mikotoba won't even share half of his chicken. I'm just sitting over here apart from the rest of you, gazing at you with longing eyes. Holmes. Right.
Don't you dare! I baked that chicken just for Susato-chan's papa. You got that?
I've been your papa for way longer than he has. Holmes-san? If you wouldn't mind, we have some things we'd like to ask you about. Go right ahead. Oh, never mind. Go right ahead. I was just starting to get into a storytelling mood. The great detective and his deep love of chicken. Sounds fascinating, doesn't it? You can tell us about that one later. You don't have to make that face. I already know what you want. Huh? It seems that, before we talk chicken, I need to give you the full story. Hold on a second. Oop. My headset is hitting into the mic. My bad. Alright, we're talking now. Now we talk. The international telegram from Japan. So, what's this about a telegram from the Great Japanese Empire? Yes, this here. I can't tell you how glad I am it arrived in time. I located the record just as you specified. Stop. K. Asogi, A. Sasha, T. Gregson, J. Watson. That's the telegram we heard from Case 5, but now there are dashes. Huh? Wait a minute. Those 4 names. We've heard those names together before. Who could forget the case that happened 6 months ago? In the shadow of what appeared to be a simple murder case lurked a major transaction. The English government's top-secret international correspondence was stolen and traded illicitly to an enemy country. We exposed the true nature of that transaction and got our hands on a fragment of that information. K. Asogi, A. Sasha, T. Gregson, J. Watson. The curtains on the case fell without us ever learning the significance of those 4 names. All we found out was one thing. That was the fact that someone in the English government was sending that information to someone in the Great Japanese Empire. Why are those 4 names appearing here? Where on earth were those 4 names found? The contents I requested yesterday via international telegram were these. Infiltrate Judge Gyakuten chambers and investigate his correspondence records. Some correspondence from a year ago with the Great British Empire likely remains there. Find the list with 4 names and send it before tomorrow is out. Naruhodō. You signed it with Naruhodō's name?
We sent it addressed to that detective who's so good at undercover investigations.
You gave that difficult responsibility to Detective Hosonaga-sama?
And using my name. I'm a little curious. What kind of disguise Detective Hosonaga used in order to sneak in? Now, it was an emergency after all!
Anyway, he was able to find those names in Jigoku's chambers.
Which means that these 4 mysterious names that were sent from England to our country
were accepted by Judge Gyakuten-sama. That's what it means.
What's going on here?
What significance do these 4 names hold, I wonder?
Actually, I have one theory. But I can't bring myself to voice it without any solid proof. Holmes-san. He's got an unusually concerned expression. I don't know if I want to hear this theory right now either. The international telegram from Japan, a communications record found in Judge Gyakuta's office in Japan. Detective Hosonaga found it and sent it to us. Asogi's death. 1 year ago, a tragedy occurred on the steamship as it was making its way toward the Great British Empire. But Asogi wasn't actually dead. We believed the lie told to us by the great detective. I feel generally bad for deceiving you, but at the time, I had to stop his study abroad at any cost. Huh? That's why I used the situation to attempt to have him sent back to Japan.
You mean, as a corpse?
That's right, Miss Osato. And I decided to have a substitute sent to the Great British Empire instead.
Substitute?
There was a certain agreement made between England and Japan at the time. Each of our countries will send 1 university student defense attorney and legal aid to each other's countries as legal program exchange students. You know, I wonder who they sent over from England. I'm really curious. What if they made another DGS game and we followed that English exchange student? Which meant that if I had a different university student defense attorney sent in his place, it would have delayed Asogi's study abroad for at least another few years. You don't mean that all this was to prevent Asogi from coming to the Great British Empire? Thinking back on it now, was there not someone at the time who casually suggested that you go to England? A joint decision between those countries' ministries of justice was made in regards to the exchange students the Japanese government was sending over. There's no choice but to cancel the exchange. It's unavoidable. There were 3 pieces of dialogue, and something tells me this long-ass sentence I had for Hosonaga was actually split into 3. Oh, come now, this is quite a simple issue. What I'm hearing is that as long as there's a defense attorney, your travels can proceed as planned. Is that right?
But there's no one else here who's a qualified defense attorney.
In any case, there's another month until we arrive in London. I wouldn't think it should be such an impossible feat to find a replacement defense attorney. A month is not a lot to study, but sure, Holmes.
So then, the reason you did that was...
I've long since conceded that friendship holds a mysterious power. I was certain that if it was for your late friend, you'd be willing to do it. Holy crap.
But now that I think about it, since it was insisted that that case was a murder, the supposed true culprit was arrested. Just who was she?
Naturally I saw that nothing bad happened to her. I told her the truth after that and assisted her to escape from her homeland. Thinking back on it now, I feel like I said some pretty harsh things to her. I highly doubt she was completely innocent. I think that was likely good medicine for her. Wonder if she made it safely to America.
There's something I still just don't understand. Why did you go to such lengths, Holmes-sama? In order to stop Kazuma-sama's study abroad?
Last year, there was an omen of tragedy to come.
Huh?
That omen? Something already in your possession. An omen of tragedy that existed a year ago. I guess I'd better hear what Holmes-san has to say. Are you talking about that telegram that you just gave us? You gave a clear instruction in this international telegram. You wrote to search Judge Jigoku's chambers. That means that you knew, didn't you? That the 4 names were hidden there, I mean.
A. Asogi, A. Sasha, T. Gregson, J. Watson.
It was 6 months ago that we learned of those names, thanks to part of some top-secret international correspondence sent by the English government. That's right, but there was still a fact that you weren't aware of at the time. The real time that these 4 names were transmitted to Japan was a year ago, while all of you were still back in Japan. I can't blame those who steal information from the English government. After all, I regularly looked in on the correspondence between the English and Japanese governments myself. But what? But how? He's Sherlock Holmes, he can do anything. The details aren't important, but I can tell you one thing. There's little I can't dig up if I get serious about it.
That's Holmes-sama for you. What a bold declaration.
Anyway, a month after these 4 names were transmitted to Jigoku in Japan, John H. Watson was murdered. When I learned what had happened, I formed a theory. In the end, the theory ended up being half correct and half incorrect. But either way, that's when the tragedy was set into motion.
Holmes-sama, please, tell us more. What is the tragedy connected to these 4 names?
Oh boy. The 4 names. Here we go. When I found out that Professor John H. Watson had been murdered in Japan, I remembered those 4 names immediately. After all, there was one other person on that list whose whereabouts were unknown. What? That was A. Sasha. And Sasha. She's known in the London underworld for being a professional assassin. Who else do we know that had an assassination plan? I see. A few months before she murdered Professor Watson, she suddenly vanished. At the time, I thought she'd been assassinated herself. So I determined that the other 2 on the list were in mortal peril.
Kei Asogi and T. Gregson.
I tried to handle things with Detective Gregson myself. Anyway, I figured it would be bad if Asogi made it to the Great British Empire. That's why you tried to prevent him from studying abroad? You got it!
So you must have known about Kazuma-sama, didn't you, Holmes-sama?
Yes, I'd been exchanging letters with Holmes, you see. I reported to him about Asogi-kun and Professor Watson.
Oh no, Iris is realizing Watson died now.
So Professor Watson died, didn't he? I had no idea.
Iris-chan.
He ended up not being my papa after all, but poor thing.
We're so sorry. Naturally, we knew the significance of that name, but we just couldn't bring ourselves to tell you, Iris-sama.
Yeah.
But there was one thing in what Holmes-san just said that's way different from the truth.
Different from the truth?
Right. That's, of course, on Sasha.
Yes, she wasn't assassinated. She was studying abroad in Japan under the name Giselle Bullet. Yes, quite right. And I learned of that 2 days ago in the lobby of the Gateway Water Hotel. And that's when the theory I formed regarding the incident with the 4 names was turned completely around. Turned around. The overturned theory. So what did you mean when you said it had been turned around? I assumed that every one of those 4 names were to become victims. But that wasn't the case.
You're right. An Sasha was a murderer. So, the names written here were both victims and their killers.
Right, and it's likely that An Sasha was sent by the Great British Empire in order to kill Professor Watson, under the guise of being an exchange student. That needs a sogi.
And that's why her motive for murder was unable to be determined.
The reason An Sasha killed Professor Watson was because he was her assassination target. That's the answer we were looking for. Based on that, when you look at this once more, a completely different theory from what we previously assumed comes to mind. A different theory. After all, there's one more person within this list of names, right? One more person who was granted exchange student status. Naturally, I don't need to tell you who that was, do I? Asogi Kazuma. He mentioned it today in court.
I headed to Dunkirk with Detective Gregson on October 31st. In order to accomplish a certain mission.
So what was this mission?
To assassinate a target.
That mission was given to him a year ago.
No.
In other words, this was a contract. Yes, a contract for an overseas assassin exchange. Assassin exchange. Sogi, was he really involved in a plot like that? Again, my best friend is an assassin! Plot twist! The assassin exchange. Oh my god, this is so messed up. Let's assume here that there were 2 people who were thinking to themselves that they wanted someone taken care of. Those two form a contract and made an exchange in order to have their desired targets killed. That's what an assassin exchange is.
First, the English assassin would study abroad in Japan in order to take the life of that target. Then the Japanese assassin would study abroad in England in order to take the life of the other target. That certainly would make the situation of the incident an assassin exchange, wouldn't it?
But what would be the point of doing such a thing?
At the very least, the English assassin was declared innocent. thanks to the consular jurisdiction. Under the new treaty between our two countries, consular jurisdiction should have already been invalidated. And yet, for that to still have been invoked, I feel some major power at work here.
A major power. The important point of this assassin exchange was the contract. Both parties would commit murder, then make them like accomplices. There might be some significance to this case plan behind that.
Wait a minute, Holmes. If this really is an assassin exchange contract, then that would mean the Japanese assassins, Asogi-kun's, target wasn't Jigoku. It was actually T. Gregson, Detective Gregson.
What? Detective Gregson? Judge Jigoku wasn't the target. Yeah, we're going into that.
You're right. That's what it would mean.
It's my fault that detective didn't make it out alive.
Holmes-sama.
I had him listen to my deduction and convince him to transfer to a foreign police force. Of course, he was going to bring that pickpocket girl with him. Gina-san, huh? Come to think of it, Detective Gregson mentioned that. He said that he was going to take Gina-san and transfer her to the Parisian police. But in the end, he, unbeknownst to me, accepted a final mission. And it truly became his last. Oh my god.
Alright, I think that's enough adult conversation for now. Hey, Holmesy. Look how late it is.
Oh, we better get back to preparing for tomorrow, hadn't we? Preparing for tomorrow?
In that case, I'll be returning to my hotel room. Tonight has been a night I won't ever forget.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed. If Susato-chan and I really had turned out to share Papa, then that would have meant that Susato-chan was my big sister.
Aww! Iris-chan.
I was just thinking the very same thing. Huh? If you'd be willing to take a person like me, I'd be glad to become your older sister anytime.
No, this is cute!
Oh, really? Yes, of course. In that case, maybe you can teach me how to throw Naruhodō-kun sometime. Yes.
It's the least I can do. Please, no. Please don't accept that request so casually.
Oh, but now that I've made Susato-chan my big sister, maybe I can also take this chance to make Naruhodō-kun my big brother.
Huh? Of course. I'd be glad to, if you'll have me. No, this is all cute! Oh, that's Iris for you! She learned the art of humoring people. I've had about enough of him.
Alright, I'm gonna do my best getting ready for tomorrow for my big brother and big sister then.
What are these preparations for tomorrow that everyone keeps mentioning?
You'll just have to wait and see.
Huh? In that case, you two do your best tomorrow, folks. Yeah, of course. And so the intermission... Oh, I gotta stop. And so the intermission in the trial ended up being an important turning point. The mysteries and facts that had arisen anew were the correspondence record containing the 4 names found in Judge Jigoku's chamber, and the grand assassination plot that my best friend was involved in. Right now, I'm in the depths of the deepest darkness, but I'm sure things will work out somehow. After all, I have the strongest family ever backing me. That's so good! A good family! Also, I'm gonna get interrupted very soon, so we're gonna stop here as it can be continued. We're really over now at this point. But we'll continue this in the next video, back into the courtroom once again. I'll see you guys then.